That's my name. My name is Spencer. My last name is Brandon, and so people say I have two first names. And most of actually every single teacher I've ever had at one point in time has called me Brandon. At one point. Wilson.
Three first names.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know what my parents were thinking about if they forecasted that when they were naming me, but I like my name. My name's fine. Sweet. Well, you guys can get out your books and go to page 8. I want to start class by running through the homework. It's kind of grading it together. And then reviewing what we talked about last week. And this week, we'll actually introduce national numbers. What are they? How to use them. Answer some questions that you have. And definitely do some ear training, too. Because
we need more of that.
We need more, yes. More ear training.
I love this song.
Can't get enough of
and then we'll see how much time we have after that. But, sweet. So, page 8. What is the first key or the first major scale that is listed at the top?
G.
Key of G? All right. Key of G major. First note of the G major scale. Someone just shout it out.
A.
G.
First note of the G major scale. Hey, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Trick question.
Trick question, kind of. G, yeah. Someone said G.
I did.
G major.
Oh.
Second note of the G major scale.
A.
A. There it is. Yeah. Third note.
D.
D. Fourth note.
C.
Fifth.
D.
Sixth.
E.
And seventh.
F sharp.
F sharp. Let's go.
G flat.
One sharp in the key of G.
Makes me goose-
What's the second key?
B.
E. Let's just list them all. Third key.
F.
F.
F. Fourth key.
F sharp.
F sharp. Is there a fifth key?
Yes.
A
G sharp or A flat.
A flat.
How's it? Is it listed as A flat?
It's
or
listed
G
A
sharp?
flat.
It's
A flat. Great. All right. B. First note.
C sharp.
B.
B.
Oh, dang it. I thought you said we already established that. I was thrown. I'm sorry.
This is great. Second note.
C sharp.
C sharp. Third.
G sharp.
Fourth.
E.
Fifth.
F sharp.
Sixth.
G sharp.
Seventh.
A
A
sharp.
flat.
A sharp. Beautiful. All right. Key of F. Note number 1.
F.
You got it.
So hard.
Note number 2.
G.
Yep. 3.
A.
4.
G flat.
B flat.
I
B flat.
C.
5.
C.
C. 6.
D.
7.
E.
Awesome. Wild guess as to what F sharp is. What's an easy way to determine what the key of F sharp major or the F sharp major scale is if you already know F major?
Just raise every note by a half step.
Yeah.
Raise every note by half a step. Yes, precisely. Precisely. Why can we do that? Because a sharp raises a note by half a step. So F sharp, we have note number 1 is F sharp, then G sharp, A sharp. What would we call this?
Regular B.
B. B natural. I'll take either one for sure. C sharp, D sharp. This one,
E sharp.
also known as F. Sweet. All right, last one. A flat. Note number 1.
A flat.
Number 2.
C flat.
Number 3.
C.
Oops. Number 4.
D flat.
D flat.
D flat.
I got scared there for a second. Nobody else was answering.
Number 5.
E
Flat.
E flat. Number 6.
F.
Number 7.
G.
Nice. How'd you guys do? Who got most of them correct? Yeah, awesome. Who got less than half correct? All right, sweet. I'll take that. Any questions about the major scale? We spent quite a bit of time last week talking through the major scale, different nuances.
I did have a question
Yeah.
about I think it was the one in F sharp. Wouldn't it make sense to call that an E sharp instead of oh wait. Hold on, I'm still very confused. Why call it an F instead of an E sharp? Or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, because typically you're not wrong.
Because doesn't it make sense to name all of like instead of calling it I don't know. Wouldn't it make sense to say all the notes like A, B, C, D, E instead of just not?
I don't understand the
I
last part of the
think I might have
question,
done it
but-
wrong. Hold on.
So F sharp. So it's a usually the black keys, which we would refer to them as accidentals. Those would be denoted as a sharp or a flat, usually.
So when-
Since E to F, though it is a half step, and though you can call F E sharp, because they're
Oh.
not accidentals, we would just typically refer to them as F rather than E sharp.
Okay, that answers my
So
question.
it's a super that gets super technical in like classical music and reading sheet music.
Is it
and
just
things
the
like
one
that.
that's closer? Does it like since it's an E sharp, it just classifies as an F?
Yes. It's easier to refer to it as an F as opposed to, hey everyone, play like E sharp major. It's like, wait.
So would an F flat be classified as an E?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's where it's like leaning to, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes so much sense.
So if you like, does anyone play classical music or have a background in classical music? Somewhat. So if you encounter a song that like changes keys halfway through or has lots of sharps and flats, you will see like on your staff E sharp rather than F. So it's super technical, but
okay.
we don't refer to it that way for like national numbers. So good question. Any other questions? No? Alright, cool. Well, let's do ear training now.
Yes.
And then we'll do ear training now, and then we'll go into what are national numbers. I'm gonna keep up key of B. For us, we'll do key of B for ear training. Someone raise your hand and tell me what are the intervals called of the major scale? What are the 7 intervals of the major scale?
Can you use notes?
Try it without notes first. Jackson.
Major second interval, major third interval.
Yep.
Perfect fourth.
Yep.
Perfect fifth. Major sixth, major seventh.
Beautiful.
There you go.
Let's give them a hand, guys. Yeah. Yes. So major second. Major third. Perfect fourth. Perfect fifth. Major sixth. Major 7. We're going to run through these intervals in the key of B. And yeah, we'll see what we know thus far. I'm going to point us to a resource for homework to turn in next week for ear training that is single-handedly the most helpful resource I've ever used to develop my own ear training as a musician, and so I hope it's helpful for you. But we'll talk about that later. So key of B. I'll play the scale once, and then I'll play an interval. Again, close your eyes. Try to guess what that interval is. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So here's the scale. Alright, eyes closed. Here's your first interval. Last time. Final answer, 3, 2, 1. Open your eyes. I see 3s.
Whoa.
I see 2. I see 6. 2. Melissa in the back's got 3. It's a third, a major third interval.
Bro.
1, major second, major third. A trick, if you will, for the major third is it'll make what you're hearing sound happy. Probably the best way I can put it. Sounds like a happy chord. Those are all major third intervals. It sounds disgusting because of all the different ones being played one right after another, but major third intervals. Let's try a couple more. Eyes closed. Some of you are humming the major scale to find it, and that is a great trick to find the interval. So feel free to do that if you need to. Last time. Final answer. Open your eyes. 6, 5. It is a major 6.
Final.
I feel like this one's the hardest.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't really sound like anything that I would recognize, or maybe that you would recognize.
NBC.
NBC?
Oh.
Oh, interesting. What is that? That's 1, 6, 4. But really, it's in the key of E. So, anyways, major 6, and humming it is really helpful because it helps train your ear as well as the voice to move up the scale, and you can kind of, you have 1 in your head, and so you're moving from 1. You're starting to ingrain interval ear training into your ears. So that's 6. The only thing maybe helpful that I could give you about the major 6 is in my ears, I feel like it resolves well to the 5. So if you hear the interval and you're like, I feel like this note wants to come down to resolve here, then it's a 6. It's a major 6. But it may not be helpful for you, and that's okay. One more, and then we'll move on. Last time. All right, final answer. Open your eyes. Perfect 4th. Perfect 4th. Well done. Here comes the bride.
That's literally what I was thinking.
Yep.
As it goes to 5 or just 1 and 4?
So in the key of B, this is 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Isn't there,
5.
so is it 5 after? Is there another note? Or is it just 1, 4, 4?
I think it's just 1
Okay.
to 4. Yeah. Yep. It's easy to confuse that one with the perfect 5th because again, those notes are right next to each other. So, I guess questions about ear training at the moment. It's tough though. It's like a grind. It's like hearing it over and over, and then you get it wrong, and then you get it right the next time. It takes some time. But actually, I'll show it to us right now. The resource I want to point us to is called musictheory.net. Is anyone familiar with this website?
Yeah.
A couple of us? Musictheory.net. Y'all can actually pull out a phone or a laptop or whatever, because I want you to see it.
Aiden said he has PTSD from that website.
Aiden has PTSD from musictheory.net.
From the class.
Did you have to do this for homework in like band or choir in high school?
I had to do like music theory and stuff. I did band throughout like high school, so we had to know like scales and then also like music theory as well.
Got you.
So
Yeah, I was introduced to this in like choir class,
yeah.
and so but I fell in love with it. Oh, it's amazing. Okay, so go to musictheory.net. At the top of your page, you will see a tab called Exercises. And from Exercises, you will scroll down. This is sick, by the way. They have like staff identification and stuff like that. That doesn't super pertain to us because we don't use a standard like treble clef, bass clef chart for our music here. If keyboard identification, that's super cool. Fretboard identification for you shredders, super cool as well. What we're going to look at the bottom is ear training, the ear training exercises. You'll click on interval ear training. Is everyone there? Interval ear training? Who's not there yet? Raise a hand.
I'm downloading that.
Oh yeah, you can download the app too. The app is super
Oh
helpful.
wait, never mind, I'm not.
Basically, so once you're at interval ear training, you'll go to that little settings tab, the gear thing. You'll click on intervals, and you're going to only want to select the intervals of the major scale, which we have up on the whiteboard. So unison, major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major second, major seventh, and the octave. Are we there?
Yes.
Working on that. Cool. And basically what this exercise page does is it plays two notes, and then you select what the interval is. So for my laptop, can't really see it too well, but click this guy here. So it's like, oh.
4.
What do we think this is?
Wait, you like
5.
Perfect fifth?
major sex.
Who votes perfect fifth? Raise your hand. No one?
What throws me off?
Major six? Raise a hand. Major seven? We'll try major six. It is a major six. So then it'll change keys on you.
Oh, that's
You really have to like pay attention. That's also a major six.
Why is it doing minors for me?
So it'll change the key, but it plays two notes. You select what you think is right. It'll tell you if you're wrong or right. And you can guess as many times as you can until you get it right. And if you look up at the top, it says attempts. The number you have correct, the number you've attempted, and then your percentage. For homework for this whole week, I would like
500
for
times.
you
No.
500 attempts. That's 99%. I assigned this one year. I assigned this assignment, and it was like, I think it was 30 attempts at 80% correct. But I had one student who was so like, I'm so frustrated, like I can't get this, but I want to get 80%. He ended up doing over 400 attempts to get the
Oh my
ratio
God.
to where he had 80% correct.
That's
It took him like hours, which is wild. But I'm gonna have us do 35 attempts. 35 attempts. %75% correct. This is the goal to shoot for. Once you reach 35 attempts, you'll stop. And this is just kind of a reference point. Let's shoot for 75% of these attempts as correct. If you don't get that, that's fine. If you get above that, that's great. If you feel determined to take as many attempts as is necessary to get to 75%, full send. You've got my blessing for that. But that'll be homework that's due next week at the beginning of class. And I guess screenshot it, upload that to a line, and that's how you will submit that. Questions?
It might have to be downloaded PDF and screenshot because I think you can only upload PDF files possibly.
Oh.
So
I'm not sure what
You
it
can do it from your phone.
allows.
Okay.
Whatever means necessary, or if you want to like come, I think I'll be here next week and just like show me or show Richard. That works too. But musictheory.net, interval ear training, 35 attempts, 75% correct. Feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Love it. Great. All right, let's do Nashville numbers. Nashville numbers. Nashville numbers. We might end early today too, so we'll see.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We will see.
Just kidding.
We will see. So the Nashville numbers were created in the 1950s as a way for musicians in Nashville to learn songs quick. Studio musicians created this system to help learn songs fast. And it's a specific way of charting a piece of music. And so as you browse through your textbook, I think it's on pages 2 and 3, you'll see an example of a Nashville numbers chart. Yeah, that's page 4. That's an example of a song written, the bottom of that page is what the Nashville numbers of that song would look like.
On 9.
Page 3. Yep. So it's a system created to learn songs efficiently. And honestly, if you learn this way of reading worship music, you will essentially be able to receive the song in a Nashville chart form for the first time without having ever heard it before. Sit down, look at the chart, and play the song top to bottom perfectly without ever having listened to it. That's kind of how these charts are composed. It is the it's the rhythm of sheet music. So if you read sheet music, you've got all the notes, but you've got the rhythms of those notes and how many measures and so forth. It's the rhythm of sheet music with the simplicity of a standard chord chart. And the numbers are helpful because the numbers enable you to change keys very, very efficiently. So if you're a worship leader at a church and you print off the song in one key and then decide to change keys for the weekend, you don't have to print off a whole nother series of chord charts. You just have the one chord chart that can be played in any key. Does that make sense? So Richard will really dive into this more in the next 2 weeks, and we'll actually practice writing out Nashville numbers charts as we listen to songs. We'll listen to songs in class. You'll write them out in class. You'll do them for homework, all that good stuff. But I'm just kind of introducing it today. So how do you get numbers? Because each number that you see in a Nashville number chart corresponds to a chord in the song. How do you get numbers? We've kind of been saying it this whole time, but take B major, for example. The note B in B major is the first note, right? C sharp is the second note. D sharp is the third note, so on and so forth.
I thought B major was the first note.
So, wait, who said that? So, you're on the right track, actually. We're about to arrive there. In the same way that each singular note in the B major scale has a number attached to it, each note has a chord attached to it. So B is we call these chords within the key of B major. also known as diatonic chords, chords within the key. The first chord of the key of B major is B major. The second chord of the key of B major is C sharp minor. The third chord of B major is E sharp minor. The fourth chord is E major. Fifth chord is F sharp major. The sixth chord, G sharp minor. And the seventh chord is interesting. It's technically A sharp diminished, but the way that we treat the 7 chord in worship is a 5/7. So the 5 chord, which is F sharp major, F sharp over A sharp. Who can tell me what that means? One chord over another. Josiah.
It's the first. I think the one of the 5 would be playing like the bass notes, like in like the bass frequencies, and then the 7's like in the higher frequencies.
It's flipped. You're on the
Sorry,
right track
the other
there.
way
Yep.
around then. Yes.
Yep, so the first note, or the first chord, is going to be played in your right hand, if we're thinking about a keyboard. That's where all of it's the notes of this chord, so play F sharp, but your left hand, or the bass, is going to be an A sharp. That's really how we treat the 7 chord in worship. There's some hymns that have a true diminished chord in them, but we rarely play them. Anyways. So, in the same way that you have a formula to build a major scale, you have a formula to figure out what type of chord goes into which number. The 1 chord is always major, the 2 chord is always minor, the 3 chord is always minor, the 4 chord is always major, the 5 is always major, the 6 is always minor, and the 7 is always diminished, or 5/7. Does that make sense so far? So if we're in the key of C, someone tell me what the 4th note of the C major scale is, and then tell me what the 4th chord of the C major scale is. Did you have it?
Yeah, the 4th note of the C major scale is F.
Yep.
And then what was the second one? The chord?
Yeah, so then what's the 4th chord of the C major scale?
It'd be
F major. Yeah. Because the 4th chord is always major. See? You have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Diminished. Any questions on that?
And it always stays that way.
Always.
Sequence.
Always. In the same way that major scale formula that we talked about, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, always stays the same. So does this formula. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished.
So it doesn't change from if it's a major scale or a minor scale. It's the same for both of them.
It's the same for just a major scale. If you have a minor scale, it will change. But we'll wait to talk through that. All music, almost all music that we play in worship is based off the major scale. So that's what we'll learn. So let's play this key of B to see what it sounds like. So that's the 1 chord, and I'll just play them all. I'll play 5/7 instead of a 7 diminished. And then we'll do ear training with this. So I'll play the 1 chord, and then I'll play another chord, and you'll tell me which one you think it is. And you have a clue. If it sounds minor, you only have 3 chords to choose from, process of elimination. Same if it sounds major. So, in B major, here are the chords within the key of B major. B. So B, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, E major, F sharp major, G sharp minor, F sharp over A sharp. 7 is in the bass. And then B major, back to 1. Alright, close your eyes. I'll play B. I'll play a second chord. You throw up the number that you think it is.
The second chord?
The second chord.
Okay.
Yep. Alright. One more time. All right, final answer. Open your eyes. What do you think? 6, 5, 3, 7. This is 6. This is the 6th chord.
Okay.
So or two things you can look out for. That first being, does this chord sound major or minor? So from B major, we have this. Sounds minor. Another thing you can listen for is the lower notes and the interval that is being played.
Yeah.
What's that interval? A sixth, a major sixth. So that tells you that this chord, this bass note, is going to be the 6th chord. So you can listen for the interval, and you can also listen for the quality of the chord. Is it major or minor? Let's try a couple more. Eyes closed. Last time. All right, final answer. Open your eyes. 2. This is the 2 chord. Again, sounds minor. I think I only saw minor chords in y'all's answers. So minor, so it's one of those 3. But that bass note, that's a major second interval. 1 to 2. First note of the scale to the second note of the scale. And we know that the second note of the scale is always going to have a minor chord attached to it. Questions?
Would you say that, like, most of music theory is just memorizing things?
I would say so. So it's actually interesting. I was listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago. Do y'all know Andrew Huberman? Never heard of him. He's a professor at Stanford for like neuroscience. He's very, very smart, and it's really cool. He's kind of making science interesting and fun and relatable to, I guess, Gen Z and millennials. And much of it is in the lens of, I don't love the term, but life hacks, such as how do I get better sleep? And what's the science behind sleep? Why does my sleep suck? What can I practically do to change my sleep outcome and the science behind it? He has a whole teaching about how to learn better. And scientifically speaking, the process of learning is essentially the process of forgetting less. Which is really weird when you think about it. Like, you're learning like an hour and a half worth of content in this class session.
How do you forget less?
Your ability to retain or your ability to remember what's being taught is the process of learning. So really the tools that you need to develop are tools that help you not forget so much. It's really weird to think about, but that's essentially what it is. So to answer your question though, Ella, yes, like when you memorize these formulas, when you memorize intervals, not just when you see it on paper, but when you hear it, which is ultimately the goal, that's when you've got it in you, for sure. And then thirdly, when you can apply it to like a real worship setting, or songwriting even. When you apply things that you're learning in here to songwriting, it gets it in you. One thing that does definitely help you retain better is if you teach someone else what you just learned. I think it's like a 70+% retention rate. Taking notes is like 15%. Just listening and not activating anything is 5%. But if you reteach what you just learned, it cements in your mind up to 70%. And so, I don't know if you guys have like a sibling or a roommate. Like, yo, this is what I learned today. Get out the whiteboard, get out the piano. But yeah, anyways. I think the biggest things to memorize from this are the major scale formula, which you had homework for, and the chords. Which chords in the major scale are major and which ones are minor. If you can memorize that, when you get a Nashville chart and you see 2, 5, 4, you're like, oh, minor chord, major chord, major chord, and it'll be super easy to learn a song. Diego.
I'm still trying to. I'm like applying it to like I guess guitar. How would you? I guess like when you say like a 5/7, you get an A out of it. Like how do you determine like A is the chord that I guess you play? In regards to this,
A sharp.
Yeah,
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, something like that.
Because this A sharp is the 7th note, and the 7th note is in the bass. So for guitar purposes, you're playing multiple notes. You're not playing, it's not like a bass guitar where you only play one note at a time. So on the guitar, whatever chord shape you can use to ensure that the 7th note is the lowest note that you're playing, then you've played it properly.
Oh, okay. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Does a guitar have 6 strings?
Yeah. Yeah, a guitar has 6 strings, but
So
the
where's the
7th note of a scale.
Maybe like the lowest.
So the 7th, so if I played the C major scale on guitar, it would, require me to play certain frets and certain strings. But I would eventually get to the 7th note. And if I play a chord that has B as the 7th in the bass, I just need to play a chord that throws the B note as the lowest note in my chord shape. I'm speaking in like super technical terms. It's very basic if you like had a guitar in your hand and we like talked through it. It's kind of weird like to like use words to describe like what's happening, but it makes much more sense when the instrument is in your hand.
And what would you call this? Like for notes purposes, like what would you title this?
I would title this chunk right here, because this is what's important to learn. I would call this the diatonic chords. DIATONIC. Diatonic just means chords within the key. The chords within B major are these chords. These chords. The chords within any major scale in any key are going to be these chords. A major chord first, minor chord second, minor chord third, major chord 4th and 5th, minor chord 6th, diminished chord 7th.
So is this considered a major formula?
Yes, absolutely.
So then how do you decipher this major formula between the major formula with the
Like the notes?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have to start with the formula for a major scale so that you can determine what the notes are. And once you determine what the notes are, you just add the chord quality to those notes. So the note B becomes B major. The note C sharp becomes C minor. That's basically what you're doing. Because-
Making the scale major.
So the scale's already major. You're determining what type of chord this note creates. Creates isn't the best word, but the point in learning this is that when you see a Nashville chord chart, you're not going to see any note names. You're not going to see any chord qualities, like a little M for minor or a big M for major. You're only going to see numbers. And you'll be given a key. So for example, someone will be like, hey, we're playing this song, we're in the key of G, and the chord progression for the chorus is 6, 2, 1, 5. And so then what you have to do is go, okay, we're in the key of G. The key of G is composed of these 7 notes, and those 7 notes have these 7 chords related to them, which tells me that the 6 is E minor, the 2 is A minor, the 1 is G major, the 5 is D major. But the goal is for that to happen like in a split second. 6, 2, 1, 5, E minor, A minor, G, D. But in order for us to get there, we have to know first how to build a major scale, and then which chords are minor and major within a major scale.
Are we going to be learning this again?
We can review it next week,
Okay.
for sure.
I think I'm
Yeah.
going to need that.
Real quick, page 9. Page 9 in the textbook is a template of all of the basically all of the keys that you'll ever play in, with its corresponding chords within that key and which ones are major and which ones are minor. Do you see that on page 9 at the bottom? Example 4. So, you could memorize this if you wanted to. That would definitely be helpful. But you can also use this as a reference. So you have a chart next to you. You're like, oh, I don't remember what note or what type of chord the 6 is in F sharp. You can go here and see, oh, D sharp minor is the 6th chord.
Can I add something
Yeah.
to that? When I first started learning this, I printed out something very similar to this, and I would just keep it in my guitar case.
Yeah,
like
that's a
every time
great
I'd
idea.
open it, I would just peek at it, look at it for like 10 seconds, and then or just keep it next to my chord charts, like when I was in those first learning stages.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. You could print something like that out, or take a picture of it, favorite it, put it on your music stand with your song that you're learning. Yeah, whatever is helpful for you to kind of keep that in front of you as you're learning this system, by all means, for sure.
I have a question about the 5/7.
Yeah.
When it applies to a team of instruments, who's playing 5 and who's playing the 7? Like, I would assume the bass is playing the 7.
Yep, bass is only playing 7, which is the most important. Keys is playing the 5 in their right hand and only the 7 note in their left hand. Guitar is playing, both electric and acoustic, is playing the chord in such a way where all of those notes are represented. So they play a 5,
that's interesting.
but the 7th note is the lowest of what they're playing.
Okay.
That's how it's translated as a team.
Okay. And so I guess the keys is like kind of where that split starts to happen, where like bass is playing the 7,
Mhm.
your left hand's playing a 7, your right hand's playing the 5, and then the guitars are probably playing a 5, but their 7th note
Is the lowest.
Is the lowest.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
But ultimately, as long as the bass is playing it, you can get away with a lot.
Like as long as the sound is
Yep.
that note sound is coming off.
Yeah, precisely. Precisely. This is a lot. It's a lot to digest. What shall we do next? Let's try this. I want to have us come up with like, I don't know, 4 different chord progressions, and then I'll play them to help give you an idea of what they sound like. And then I'll play a chord progression, and you'll have to guess which one it is. Let's do that. Let's do that. So these chord progressions will be 4 chords long, just like this one. So someone raise your hand, give me 4 random numbers between 1 and 7. Josiah.
Do you want a progression or no?
A progression, so just give
Of
me
numbers
the number.
like 1,
Yeah.
5, 4, 5.
Yep, exactly.
1, 5,
1,
4,
5, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 5, 4, 5. This is actually worthy of it all.
I know, that's why I picked it.
Worthy of it all.
4, 5, 4, 5.
Do y'all listen to the CC Winans version of Worthy of It All?
No.
Oh, it was so hard, guys. It is amazing. It's so refreshing. I love it when people take
Only
like
Abby.
classics and just change it just a little bit. And it is so refreshing. All right, someone raise your hand. Give me another progression. Right.
6, 5, 4, 2.
6, 5, 4, 2. Another. Alyssa, sure.
1, 2, 3, 5.
1, 2, 3, 5. Love it. One more.
1, 4, 6, 5.
1, 4, 6, 5. Great.
I'm just making sure.
1, 4,
Random numbers.
6, 5. All right. We'll do this together before we play these. We'll start with the first chords of each of these progressions. Is the 1 major or minor?
Major.
Major. So I won't write an M. We'll just leave these blank. All the major chords will be left blank.
Okay.
But the minor chords will put a little M next to it. Is the 6 major or minor?
Minor.
5,
Major.
2,
Minor.
4,
Minor. Major. Whoa.
Yeah, 4 is major. So major, major.
Minor.
3,
Minor.
6,
Minor.
5 we've already said is major. 2 is
Minor.
minor. Great. Feel good? All right. I'll play these top to bottom so that you know what it sounds like. And then I'll pick one, play it, and you have to guess which one it is. Progression 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Make sense? Cool.
Okay, we.
Key of C. Here's the first progression. Here it is again. That's it. So 3 major chords. 1, 5, 4, 5. Here's the second one. Bit of a different vibe, if you ask me. How would you describe that progression in like emotional terms?
Minery. Oh, emotional.
Minery.
Emotional terms.
I like minery.
I didn't hear
Minery's
the,
great.
I didn't hear the last
Yeah,
word.
sad, minery. Any others?
Because it is minery.
Melancholy.
Melancholy.
Come on, wordsmith. Any others? I would just say like this just is very lamentful for sure. Yeah, Psalm 51. You're praying out of Psalm 51. Bro, bust out the 6, 5, 4, 2.
What if you went 6, 5, 4, 1? Isn't that reckless love?
That is reckless love. In 6, 8. So kind of, if you end on the 1 instead of the 2, it kind of gives it a little bit of a lift, a little bit of a resolve. Yeah, so that's that one. Third one. Yeah, these are all in the same key. Key of C.
C major.
Yep, C major. So this one kind of this feels pretty happy. If you ask me. That's my preference, though. Some of this stuff is subjective, so.
Very.
Yeah. All right, last one. Worship songs based on this. Oh wow, dude. Okay, I love "Pour My Love on You."
Yeah.
Y'all know that one?
Yeah.
One over 3 to the 4. It's such a good progression. 1, 4, 6, 5. So when you get a progression like memorized, like you know what it sounds like, you know it, and then my favorite thing to do is to attach an emotion to it, or a picture, or a sense, or a feeling. When you've got that in you, you can just you just pull it out, and then you'll recognize it as you hear worship songs. You're like you'll hear something on Spotify. You're like, oh yeah, that's just 1, 4, 6, 5 all day, you know. But "Pour My Love on You," it's such a good song. All right, I'm gonna play one of these. You're gonna tell me, is it progression 1, 2, 3, or 4?
To not confuse that, could we do A, B, C, and D?
Sure.
Okay.
A, B, C, and D. That's great. We're already using numbers. Let's use letters. Progression A, B, C, or D. So here it is. Play it one more time. Raise your hand. Who's got it? Which progression was that? Tatum.
B.
B. Yes. Progression B.
Go.
Come on. What gave it away? What kind of was like, oh yeah, that's definitely that one.
The minor chord
Yeah.
at the end.
The minor chord at the end. Yeah, I love that.
Oh.
Ends with the minor chord for sure. And it's the only progression that ends with the minor chord.
Yeah.
So there you go. Love it. Who else had B? Almost all of us. Awesome. Alright, here's another one. got it? Aiden?
That's the first one, or A.
A, yeah. Progression A. 1, 5, 4, 5. Beautiful. Alright. We'll do the last one because then you'll know what the last progression is because it's the last one that hasn't been played yet. So I'll play it in a different register though. See if that messes with us.
That's pretty.
Very
Yeah.
good.
Third one.
Yeah, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. I'm kind of like playing little melodies and little nuances because very rarely when you're in a live worship setting are we gonna be playing like this. Just true like perfect triads. There's always a little bit of a nuance to it. Like that. Or like that. So, trying to get us familiar to hear the chord through the fluster of notes. Sweet. All right. Any questions? Things we're not quite getting that we need to look over, revisit? Cool.
What's your favorite progression?
What's my favorite progression?
In 4/4.
In 4, I don't have a favorite one in 4/4.
Okay,
right
6/8.
now. Okay, 6/8. Okay, this is why music theory is so fun to me. Okay, have y'all heard? Have y'all heard the new Elevation record?
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
That
Start to
The
finish.
title track,
Oh yes.
When Wind Meets Fire.
Oh,
so
no, I
good.
Yeah.
Do we know what we're talking about?
Yeah.
whenever-
It's on the. Is it like a? Is it in the tag when you're talking
Are
about
you talking
when
about the song
when the verse ends and it hits like that tag piece or
I was
whatever?
like,
Okay.
The instrumental.
So here's what we're dealing with. Okay. When Wind Meets Fire.
does it go to like a diminished chord? Does it?
We're about to break it down. This is my favorite progression right now. This is my favorite progression.
It's
Okay,
so good.
so the song starts like this. Oh, I never thought I'd hear that in a worship song. And then the verse.
It's so wild.
Alright, so who can tell me that second progression? This one right here. Without knowing where the one is, what do you think the progression is? Diego. 1, 2, 3. It's not 1, 2, 3. No. Mary?
I think isn't it one? I think it's. I don't know.
All goes
One,
back down.
5,
Oh.
4.
So I'll give you guys a hint. It doesn't start on the 1. It doesn't start on the 1. Ryan?
4, 1, 5.
Yes. 4, 1,
Ah.
5. Yes. So here's the deal, guys. We're in the key of A. Key of A. That little section, the verse is 4, 1, 5. And I'm pretty sure it just kind of vamps that for most of the song, I think. I don't know the whole progression or the whole song top to bottom. But how do you go from A to
A perfect 6. It's a perfect
not a
6.
perfect 6?
Oh, what it? It's
Here's what's happening. I love this progression.
Wait,
I'm waiting for the day where we just pull this one out of our back pocket. Anywhere. Like, I'm waiting for the day. It's so good. Okay. That is a 6, for sure. This is F sharp. F sharp is the 6th note in the A major scale. I'll just tell you the chords. F sharp major to G.
7.
What's G in A major?
It's a 7.
It's a 7.
7 flat.
Oh, it's
the flat 7. You take 7 in A. 7 in A is G sharp. Flatten G sharp and you get G. So we have F sharp major, 6 major, flat 7, 5, E major. This is why this is so wild to me, is because the note that makes the 6 major is a sharp 1. A sharp. The song is in A, but that whole little tag instrumental thing is based on an A sharp. Like, that sounds terrible. But in context, like, they just make it work. It is
That's
All the
incredible.
musicians in there are crazy.
It's unbelievable. So, in short, my favorite progression right now in 6/8 is major 6 to flat 7 to 5. Like, crazy. This gets into some weird, like, modal stuff. This feels very, Middle Eastern as well. Right? Jesus was born in Israel. Like, the Bible is Middle Eastern. So that's probably my favorite. There's another progression that has that similar idea, but it's in 7/8. And let's choose the key of whatever key this would be. This is what it sounds like. Imagine just vibing out to that. You know,
Did you throw a triplet in there? Or what was that?
I
You did
don't know
something.
what it was.
What was that?
I
Wait,
think
what
it-
is it
it
called
might
if
be
you're in
16
sevens?
notes. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
There's a
That's
tri-
where my knowledge ends.
A triplet only counts in 4s and 8s, right?
I don't know. So okay, so both of these progressions, right? The and this one. Listen to the bass notes, right? You've got that's the elevation one, and then you've got this one. Like that. Like that's got that like Middle Eastern vibe, that Eastern harmony and key center. It's just so rich. That's my favorite. Those are my favorites right now. Aiden.
So, like, what mode would you think those, like, progressions are?
There it is. Okay.
I knew he was gonna say.
Real quick, and if this is
Real quick,
confusing to
wink,
you,
wink.
just forget about it. Just kind of check out at this point, or don't check out right now. But you know what I mean. Okay, the major scale has 7 notes. The major scale has 7 notes. Each note has a chord. Right? 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7 diminished. In the same way that each note has a chord, each chord has a scale. Each chord has a scale. The 1 chord has, it's kind of funny, it's just the major scale. It's this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 2 is called Dorian. The 3 is called Phrygian. I don't know why they had like Greek names. But the 4th is called Lydian. The 5th is called Mixolydian. The 6th is called the minor scale. And the 7th is called the Locrian scale. So when we think about like, oh, we have major scales and we have minor scales. Yes, but that's just 2 out of the 7 possible scales that you have at your disposal. And here's the trippy part. The major scale is 1 through 7. The Dorian scale is 2 through 8. 8 is also known as 1, though, right? 2 through 8. The Phrygian scale is 3 through 9.
Wait.
The Lydian scale is 4 through.
Same.
I'm
Wow.
like
It's
picturing
so
it on like a
But-
fretboard. Is it literally just because you're just moving it down? Like, is that kind
Yeah,
of
it's the same series of notes,
Same
but you
series of notes,
start
but
and end in different places.
Yeah. Okay.
So to answer Aiden's question, those chord progressions are in the Phrygian mode.
I thought
Because think about this: 3 and 4, those are a half step away from each other, right? 1, 2, 3. Those are a half step away. And then you've got 5, which is a whole step away. So if we're playing this progression, you've got C sharp, D, half step away, E, full step away, back to C sharp. So it's a Phrygian-based chord progression. 3, 4, 5, 4, 3. But the 3 in this case is major, not minor. If it was minor, it would be. But we made it major. It's so much. This is probably really confusing, but
So what happens if it was
All-
in like
all
a
that to
Dorian
say-
scale?
I don't know.
Because
I'm
like
not
you could just do
super
the same
familiar with
progression in Dorian scale. So they're both minors. They probably. I wonder what they sound like.
Yeah, I can't do it off the top of my head.
Just
right
you
now.
just need a personal.
Basically,
session
though,
with him about it.
Why am I saying all this? And if you're lost, that's totally fine. It took me years to like understand that third level of like modal theory. But all that to say is music is so rich. Like music is so rich. It is so good. There's so much nuance to it. There's so much complexity to it. Yet there's so much simplicity to it as well. And my favorite is when music is very complicated in theory, but very catchy and simple when you listen to it. Like that Elevation song. That lick is so catchy, very singable, and they sing it at the end of the song, right? It's like a bridge too or whatever. But when you break down the theory, it's wildly complex. I love that stuff. I love it so much. And that's where a ton of creativity can come into play, where it's like you build a chord progression that uses some of those different scales and different chords and different keys. And my favorite way to do that is to start turning minor chords into major chords and major chords into minor chords. Right? Like what would this progression sound like if 2 and 3 were major instead of minor? Like that's a very different sound. Anyways, I think I'm gonna stop this there. I'm gonna stop this there. All you really, the takeaway from class 2, as we talk about intro to Nashville numbers, is making that transition from here's the major scale, here are the chords available to us in the major scale, and here's what's major, here's what's minor. And then even we did a little bit of ear training with it as well, where we picked a key, we wrote out a chord progression, we heard what it sounded like. So as it relates to your book, please reference page 9 for help in figuring out the chords within all of the different keys. For homework, 35 attempts of the interval ear training at 75% correct. Questions on in closing? Right.
This is just more of a question on natural numbers. So
Sure.
you wrote out 1, 2 major, 3 major, and then 5.
Uh-huh.
Would that be how it's written out on a chord chart?
Yes. Yep. It would be written out with a capital M or a lowercase m. If you're changing the Nashville number, that change will be reflected in the chord chart. Absolutely.
Are we submitting a picture of or a screenshot of our attempts?
Yeah, just screenshot it, upload that to a line. And if you have issues with it, just come to class with it, on your phone to show us before class starts. Josiah.
So, this is another national number system question. On that last song, or where when wind meets fire, it's what is it? Is it 6, flat 7, and then 5? But the 5 is played for. Is it a whole? So I guess what I'm asking is, if you're writing it out, do you do 2 5s in a row, or is there a symbol for the 5 being repeated again?
There is a symbol.
Okay.
There is a symbol, and I think starting next week we'll go into the different symbols in a Nashville chart for repeating a chord.
Yeah, because it's
extending it, cutting a chord
6,
short.
6 flat 7, 5, and then it just holds the 5 out. I wonder if in writing it, if it's 5-5 or whatever.
Yep.
So I guess we'll go over
Yep,
that.
there'll be a symbol. You'll learn all
Okay.
of that next week. So, feel good? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Woo, thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Flat 7.
Oh man.
Do it, bro. Let's do it.
I'm so glad that we're
I'm gonna have that progression.